Kneel Before Blog presents Kneel Before Pod.
Hello and welcome to Kneel Before Pod interviews. I'm your host Craig, and I recently had the pleasure of talking to Jeff Wamester, director of the new DC animated movie Legion of Superheroes. The conversation covers adapting different characters, directing animation, and keeping the focus in the right place. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Hi Jeff.
Hi Greg, how you doing, man? Nice to meet you.
I'm doing good. It's great to meet you too. How are you?
Great.
Good stuff. So, just an easy question to start us off about this film. How did you come to be involved in Legion of Superheroes?
I've been on a run with Butch for quite a few movies. I was storyboarding with him before that, and I was directing for Marvel before that. So I came over here to WB, started doing boards, and then Butch brought me up to start doing a series of movies. So this is the third with him.
Yeah, it's your third DC animated feature, and all three you've had a play in areas that haven't really been explored much outside of the comics. That must be really exciting to do as a creative.
It is. I grew up reading DC and Marvel and all those kind of comic books, and it's super exciting to be able to bring a lot of that stuff to the screen. It's kind of my dream for this kind of stuff. I really love it.
And especially the more obscure-ish stuff.
Absolutely.
Obviously, it won't be obscure to comic fans, but for viewers that are just getting into these characters, it will be very almost niche.
100% agree. It's exciting. I love bringing these characters that are not the main three. Not that I don't like doing the main three, but it's exciting to bring some other stuff and other storytelling to the screen like this. And
you've spent some time as a storyboard artist as well. That must be a great road into directing animated features.
Oh yeah, it's kind of the only way, really.
Is it just all about sort of visualizing what you're going to present on screen and things like that?
Oh, yeah. That's basically where it comes from. You have to be a very skilled board artist to be a director.
The film itself, I watched it this morning, actually. I thought it was really good. I love the Legion of Superheroes and Supergirl. I was a huge fan of the TV show when it was on and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
It struck me that it's a bit outlandish in that it's about character moving to the future, but it's also just about someone trying to find their place and learning a bit of humility as well. So how do you go about making sure that's always in front of the audience so that, you know, that relatable angle?
Well, I think Supergirl, we know it from the beginning because she's kind of angry and frustrated from when we first see her after Krypton. But we also see it when she goes to the future, and the Legion that she meets, other than kind of the leadership there that's left over, she's met with a bunch of, she may not admit it, but are mirrors for her. People that are trying to find their own place when they're trying to get into the Legion. They're all trainees, so she sees those mirrors right away.
Yeah, she's sort of stuck with the B team, isn't she?
Yeah, and she gets these constant feedback and mirrors within her life, both the frustration level that comes from Brainiac, but also the other characters that kind of give her the, you're not skilled enough to do this. So I think having mirrors in a story is a great reminder constantly of where our main character's struggle is coming from.
Yeah, I loved that montage of disabling the robot, and she just kept assuming that she was right, even though it was pretty clear that she wasn't right about how to fix it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's sort of her arc in a nutshell. It's learning that lesson to listen to other people and pay attention to what's actually going on.
Yeah.
And her characterization, it seemed a bit of the New 52 Supergirl to me, at least in terms of attitude, obviously not in terms of setup because it's quite different, but for me, I haven't read everything that Supergirl's been in, but it's a sort of refreshing attitude in the sense that they haven't done that an awful lot. So was that something that was picked up for this film particularly?
Obviously, I'm not the writer for it that went through the past in terms of what Jim Creed got for inspiration. But when I read it and I was going through and thinking about the storytelling, I read it as a very frustrated teenager, and she's trying to find her place. So that's something we try to carry through the whole movie. I think that's the main thread, is finding your place and your strength.
And of all the Legion characters that you got to play with, which ones were you most excited about?
I personally always like playing the misfits and different. Arms Fall Off Boy was a lot of fun to play with. Because you're kind of like, well, can we make them fun, but also someone you can really relate to pretty quick. Characters like that are, for me personally, a lot of fun to put up on screen. But they're all kind of fun to find a way to animate them in an exciting, fun way when they're fighting or talking, stuff like that. I love this stuff. Yeah,
and DC has no shortage of characters that nobody's heard of that have infinite potential as well.
The catalog is humongous, yeah. So it's fun to pull one out and say, hey, what can we do with this?
Is there anyone that you didn't get to use in this film that you would have really liked to have been there?
Yeah, there's lots. I can't think of one right now in particular. I mean, Legion has a lot. that you could put in there that are really cool. For this story, we had to pick ones that were really easy to show their powers right off the bat so that we didn't have to spend a lot of time explaining a character. So I think the choice is really good for this particular movie.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of the visuals, I noticed a bit of the Richard Donner influence, especially in the early part where Kara and Clark were talking on the farm and things like that. I'm sure the Richard Donner influence is impossible to get away from when you're adapting Superman and Supergirl and things.
Oh, yeah. I think with the board artist and me as well, we have a lot of influences that we kind of meld together on this stuff. That particular board artist who had done that section, Chris Palmer, I think is influenced by him quite a bit. When we're trying to deal with this, it's a lot of styles to meld into one. And yeah, a lot of influences like that come in all the time, especially with Superman, the classic looks. Definitely.
Yeah, like I say, it's so iconic, it's impossible to get away from it. And you shouldn't really because it's so good.
Yeah, agreed.
What were some of your favourite set pieces when you saw them come to life in this film? There's quite a few of them.
I think the vault is really, really cool. The look of it, especially a lot of the initial internal when we first walk in, and the farm I really enjoyed as well because it has that classic feel to it.
And just as a last thing, what characters would you love to direct a film based on?
I just had a question. I was like, I always want to try an Aquaman or something like that where we really could honor him pretty well. I think it'd be really fun to put up on an animated screen.
Yeah, and he's not really had the solo animation film treatment yet, has he? So definitely a fertile one to play with.
I mean, he had the movie and stuff like that, the live action, but I don't think we've had a chance to really give him his due in the animated universe.
Well, hopefully when they get round to it, you get the chance.
Hopefully. That'd be great.
Thank you very much for your time. It's been great chatting to you about this film, and I really did enjoy it. I thought it was really good. I love the DC animated films. I think they're doing excellent stuff with all these characters, and they can really dip into the lore in ways that the live action films haven't yet. So I love seeing it, and you did a great job with this one. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much, man. I appreciate that.
That was my interview with Jeff Wamester. I wish him the very best for the movie and all future projects. If you like what you heard, then hit subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you get your podcasts. We'd love it if you would leave us a 5-star rating and a review. If you want to discuss this interview, DC in general, or anything else, then you can contact us on Twitter or Facebook under Kneel Before Blog, or leave a comment on kneelbeforeblog.co.uk. For more interviews, a monthly news podcast, and deep dive analytical discussions about your favourite nerdy things, join us on Kneel Before Pod.